Going on to the third question then, which is about transport modelling. Again, this is something that's been raised in many of our previous discussions, and it is of great concern to people. The difficulty we have is that until more detailed design work has been done, you cannot answer some of these questions comprehensively. There were particular questions there, again from the Wallington Village Community Association, in relation to north and southbound movements on the A32. So the answer to that is that a transport assessment, in other words, a much more detailed study of these movements, will be created as part of the transport assessment, which has to accompany the outline planning application. So again, it's one of these issues that we will see when the outline planning application material is submitted. And of course, it will need to take into account what the inspector has said in response to this issue being raised at the examination, where there is great concern, certainly in Wickham, about the amount of traffic that will go north through Wickham, and the measures that might be taken in response to that. So again, it probably doesn't answer your question, but it's what can be said at the moment. David, do you want to comment?
Yes, if I may. I mean, this is where I become significantly less happy, because frankly, and I think it's a view that I suspect is shared by a number of the community groups, there is nowhere on earth that we should be at this quite advanced stage with Welborne and not have the answer to these fundamental questions regarding whether the local roads infrastructure can absorb or not the traffic impact of the development. And it's exactly the same argument with my Q4 regarding the design of the search system and the flood risk assessment work, all of which remains outstanding. And I just find it inconceivable that we're at this stage, at the beginning of 2016, not having the answers to these fundamental questions.
Okay, I just have a comment at this stage, just a tiny comment.
Michael, how can we refuse you?
Thank you
At
very
your
much.
last meeting.
My last attempt. I should just like to point out to Standing Conference that there is currently an application for 250 houses in Wickham. It's in fact in 2 phases, and they're fairly well advanced. One of the things that Hampshire Transport has produced is a document actually suggesting that at least one of these things should not be passed because of the traffic problems on the A32 and on the Winchester Road. And they point out that actually the road south from the Shell Garage roundabout in Wickham will be saturated without any further development at all by 2025. Indeed, Councillor Woodward is in fact in charge of transport in Hampshire, and I'm sure that he knows indeed that this is the situation. He and I have actually exchanged comments on this, but I do think that this is a very serious problem, and I also think that in fact some people in charge of events know that this is the case. So I do think that it's actually very important that very careful consideration is given to the effect of transport, not only on Wickham, but in fact on the wider villages to the, and communities to the north, and everybody knows how awful the communities, the problem is with the communities in the south. I think I said that right at the beginning when I joined this conference, and it is my final comment.
Michael, thank you very much. I mean, we've broken our rules to allow you to make that personal statement, so I hope you will take that as a tribute to the input you've given us. There is, I don't know if anybody else wishes to say anything on this, but I mean, what I would just go back to the point that it is inevitably frustrating for the communities who are directly affected not to have more detail. They will get more detail. However, I would remind you that these issues were considered by the inspector at the plan examination. Now, he didn't have full detail, but he did have to ask the question, are solutions possible? Are solutions achievable? Is it possible to bring forward measures which would enable Welborne to achieve a satisfactory resolution of the transport pressures that it will create? And his answer to that, in effect, was yes, it is possible. Not I have seen it, but it is possible.